we can use Desmos to explore the different translations applied to different functions. Translations and transformations. Suppose that we had our square root function. So y equals sqrt of x. So this is my standard square root function, and I can use Desmos to analyze the different variations of manipulating this graph. For example, I can consider the square root of x plus 1. So the original graph is the graph in green. The new graph, square root of x plus 1, is the graph in purple. So that plus 1 takes my green graph and shifts it up 1 unit. I could then take a look at the square root of x plus 4. So the green graph is the original square root of x, and the black graph is me taking that green graph and shifting it over to the left 4 units. And what's really fun is that you can take these structures, and actually let me do one at a time. Add these things called sliders. So this H that I introduced into this tab is called a slider under Desmos, and when I click on this button, it calls up this new tab, giving you the ability to change the values of H. In this case, the values of H are going to go as low as -10 and +10, and as I drag this point to the far left or the far right, it's changing the values of H within this function and changing the graph as well. So when H is equal to -10, up here you'll have x minus 10, which means you're going to take the graph of the square root of x and shift it over to the right hand side 10 units. If you needed to manipulate this over a different range of h's, you can go down here to these numbers and click on them. Maybe you need to have them go as low as -20 and +20, and to go by increments of 1 unit at a time. You can do that. You can have more than one slider. So in this case, we have H. Let's add a K. I'll press on this button to add a K tab. And this K is being added to the square root of H plus K. What do you suppose would happen if I change the values of this K? If I lower the values of K, it takes my graph and shifts it downward. If I increase the values of K, it takes my graph and shifts it upward. Okay, so these tools can really go a long way on giving you some clarity when it comes to transforming your functions. And again, you want to have some insight on what these graphs look like, because oftentimes you care about figuring out what are the intercepts of these graphs. So with this value of H and that value of K, this function, I would be able to get a good sense of what the graph looks like without having to run and get my calculator. So right away, just by knowing that this graph shifts the way it does, I know that it has an x-intercept right here and a y-intercept right there. These tools are going to be very helpful later on when we look into functions with trigonometric structures like sine of x. So these sliders are going to allow us to analyze these different functions really quickly and double check or troubleshoot some of the problems we might come across. Okay, so I highly recommend you play around with these sliders on Desmos. It's actually kind of fun. And also, just for kicks, you can click on the play button here, and it will go through the range of that A. Click on the play button down here, it goes through the range of that B. Click on the play button down here, it goes through the range of the values of C. I just think this is fun, right? So give it a try.